So it's a very hot day today. The heat index said it was about, I think 103. I think it's actually only in the mid-90s or so, but it definitely feels really hot. One of the reasons I haven't made a video in so long is because we moved last year, and we were blessed enough to move to an area where we have access to this particular field, and we were even given permission to put a garden out here, which has been great. But as a part of wanting to help maintain this area, I bought a scythe with the idea that I could keep the grass cut, especially in and around the garden, without having to use a push mower. And you've probably seen these videos on YouTube of these guys, you know, in Scandinavia or other parts of Europe, just cutting this beautiful grass at the sides, and it looks just effortless and it's super pleasing to watch. And I thought I would like to do that. So I bought a scythe, and I realized pretty quickly it's not really about the amount of force you put behind your strokes. It's really a lot more about the technique. And that's one of the things that really appeals to me about using the scythe, is that it's more about, it's a skill, right? It's a skill, so you get better the more you do it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, the more efficient you become, the faster you can cut grass. And so that's a lot of fun, I think. There's a lot of satisfaction I've gotten out of learning to use this particular tool. The other thing that really appeals to me, and this is going to lead into a discussion on work, some of my thoughts on work, but one of the other things that really appeals to me is the fact that I can work in silence. So I don't have this gas engine roaring in my ears, drowning out the world around me like I would with, you know, a push mower or something. But I can work in silence. I can hear the crickets. The only thing I'm hearing is, you know, the crickets and the birds. I'm watching the grasshoppers, you know, fly around. I've got bees buzzing, and the swish of the grass, you know, swish of the blade on the grass. It's beautiful. It's also fairly gentle exercise. It's not, I mean, in the video here you can see me struggling a little bit to cut some of this grass, but it's because I let it get way too tall and it's really woody, and so I am having to put a little bit more oomph behind each stroke to get it to cut. But the beautiful thing is, if your technique is right and you have the right blade, it is going to cut it. And my technique is not very good. But it's certainly gotten better over the course of the summer, and so I find that I'm having to use less and less force to cut grass. But the thing that I really like, and this is really what got me thinking about the nature of work as I first started using the scythe, is that it goes dull really fast. And that might sound like a design flaw, like you might think, wouldn't it be better if we had blades that stayed sharper longer? And to that I would say absolutely not. I think it's important that the blade gets dull at the rate that it does. And the reason I say that is that it forces you to sharpen about every 5 to 10 minutes. To stop what you do. If you don't sharpen it, if you think I'm just going to power through and not sharpen, it gets harder to cut the grass. It doesn't cut as easily. You do have to put even more effort into each stroke. You wear yourself out. You risk damaging the blade or damaging your snap, which is the handle here. Or you risk, because you're having to put more strength behind it, having a bad stroke and potentially even injuring yourself. So you have to sharpen the blade. Like it's a non-negotiable. But here's the important thing. Sharpening the blade is the reason that you can actually scythe for so long without getting tired. Like I found when the weather's nice, I mean today it's really, really hot and humid, but when the weather's nice and the grass isn't super woody the way that it is now, I mean, I could be out here for an hour, 2 hours, and I'm not sore afterward. If I were using a push mower for 2 hours, I would definitely be sore. But using the scythe, because it works with the body, it's such a natural movement, I'm not sore. And the reason, I think, the secret is the sharpening. It's because it forces you to take a break that lasts anywhere from like 15 to 45 seconds, depending on how you do it, or whether or not you're in a hurry, but 15 to 45 seconds, you get a breather every 5 to 10 minutes. And so scything has this really lovely rhythm that is almost like, it's almost like breathing, where you inhale, you exhale, you work, you pause, you work, you pause. And so you do get a chance to catch your breath regularly. And this is the thing that makes scything the wonderful activity that it is. The entire tool is designed to work with the human body, and it's taken centuries upon centuries to refine this tool to its current form of incredible efficiency. It's a really natural thing, and when you're using it, it almost becomes an extension of you, right? You don't even think about it necessarily as a tool. What if we could extend this idea into other realms of work? Because I don't feel this way necessarily when I'm working at a computer. Now, I have my computer set up to be as ergonomic as possible because I'm there like 8 to 10 hours a day during the school year. So I am trying to work within nature, but the activities I'm doing, staring at a screen, typing words into a keyboard, those feel really unnatural to me and disconnected from my existence as a soul in a body. Right? It's the embodiment, it's the physical aspect, the correspondence with my body, which feels like it's missing. And as I've been thinking about this, it's occurred to me that I think a lot of times in the modern world, we're forced to work at the pace of the machine rather than allowing the machine to work at the pace of the person. And we even see this now, of course, sort of magnified with the rise of AI and people being expected or even forced to use AI tools in their work and being given magnitudes more work because they're expected to be using these tools which are supposed to improve their efficiency, right? So whereas before you might have had to answer, this many emails in a day, well now, because you have access to AI assistants, you're expected to answer, 10 times as many emails. But that's not working at a human pace. There, we're actually working at the pace of the machine. And that, to me, seems inhumane in some way. Now, I have to be careful because there is a place, I think, for using tools of incredible efficiency. I don't think we should get rid of tractors and go back to using plows and horses. I think using tractors, and all the modern equipment and the different plow attachments you can put on a tractor, those are great for certain things, right? There's a reason we have them. There's a reason we should keep them. But I don't know that that should be the default. And part of the problem, as far as I'm concerned, is that in the modern world we have a lot of cases where we have fairly simple problems, but even the simple problems are treated in such a way that we're expected to have complicated technological solutions for them. Think about writing versus typing. I have to even clarify what I mean by writing, right? I mean writing by hand, because for most of us, the very activity of writing has become almost synonymous with sitting down at a computer and typing. But as I'm sure you're aware, lots of studies have been done over the years which have always shown that writing by hand, in particular writing in cursive, is way better for retention, way better for creativity. Basically, it's better for everything that matters, except maybe speed of transcription, right? People can usually type a lot faster than they can write by hand. But speed is usually not that important for most things. Usually it's like the quality of what we're producing that's the really important thing, right? And if you produce a lot of fast garbage, you're gonna have to go back and edit it anyway. But even there, right, there's a sense in which kind of culturally we've lost this connection to the version of writing which is most connected to the body, and as it turns out, according to these studies, because it corresponds more closely to our nature, it actually produces better output on the whole. So, and that's not to say that you shouldn't type. I mean, I type all the time, and there's certain things which I decide to type rather than write by hand, but there are also certain things which, to me, it's ludicrous to type. Like whenever I write poetry, I can't write poetry at a keyboard. I mean, some people can. I just can't do it. I have to have a pencil or a pen in my hand to even be able to think in those terms. So I'm not saying that we should get rid of these tools. I'm just saying I want to think about what a more humane balance would be, right? Maybe the default version of everything shouldn't be the version that involves a machine that takes us further away from the most natural interaction we can have with whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, right? And all I really want to do in this video is just open the conversation and say, all right, I think we have these patterns, and what would it look like to rebalance things or to change them so that they became healthier, so that they felt more in alignment with nature itself, right? More suited to the human being, more conducive to human flourishing. I don't have the answers, and this is something I've kind of been trying to figure out for years, ever since becoming, a working adult. I've found it very difficult to balance, work and life, and it's still something that I struggle with doing. But I would like to find out. I'd like to have some solutions. I'd like to know how to do the work that I do at the computer, because I'm at the computer most of the time, 8 or so hours a day, maybe more, 8 to 10 hours a day. And I want to get away from that. I want work to feel less detached from my humanity. So if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. I'd be very interested to hear from you. And before you recommend Leisure, the Basis of Culture by Joseph Pieper, I've read it. So, so one of the things that's kind of also been sparking this whole train of thought on work and what it means in this day and age. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Did I mention that it's hot today? Poof.